Now, this NASCAR Underdog has run all 3 top touring series in NASCAR. Honestly, only falling under the underdog mantra for his Cup Series career. This driver saw seat time in most of the garage area, to some degree at one point or another. Some call him the Onion. We will call him Toddbodine. Todd, the youngest of 3 racing Bodine brothers from the Northeast, made a few starts on the local short track circuit up there in the Northeast before very quickly making his way. We're talking like maybe 40 starts, okay, before he made his way down and made his Xfinity Series debut. Both starting and finishing 27th out of 30 cars. Made his Xfinity Series debut in Martinsville in 1986, driving the number 59 for Pete Pistone. For 3 seasons, Todd did not run any races in the higher ranks in NASCAR. He worked as like a fabricator and other facets around the sport. In 1990, he was working for Highline Racing, an Xfinity Series team co-owned by Felix Sabates and Ted Condor. Kyle Petty drove the number 42 Ames Pontiac part-time. Now, Ames, the sponsor of the number 42 Pontiac, wanted to run 8 more races, and Kyle did not want to run more than the 13 races he had already agreed to. So the team decided to let Todd drive those extra 8 races behind the wheel of the number 81, and the number 42. His best start was 4th in the Fall Dover race. His best finish was 3rd, also in the Fall Dover race. Overall, they scored 1 top 5 and 3 top 10s. For 1991, Todd hooked up with Frank Cicci and Scott Welliver, a couple team owners that were from the area Todd was from. So they really did believe in Todd's career and were very supportive. They started the number 34 Buick. Todd's best start was 1st, twice, in South Boston in the fall and Dublin. Todd's best finish was 1st, in Dover in the spring. The team secured Hungry Jack as a primary sponsor for the final 10 races of 1991. Overall, they scored 2 poles, 1 win, 7 top 5s, and 15 top 10s, en route to a 7th place points finish. So, the following season in 92, Bodine was back behind the wheel of the Cicci-Weliver Racing number 34 Hungry Jack Chevrolet. His best start was 1st, twice, in Dover in the spring and Richmond in the fall. His best finish was 1st 3 times in Nazareth, Michigan, and Bristol in the fall. Overall, Todd scored 2 poles, 3 wins, 11 top 5s, and 19 top 10s, ending the season in 3rd in the final Xfinity Series points. Bodine also made his Cup Series debut in technically a Cicci-Weliver owned number 34 Diet Pepsi Ford. The car was actually a rental from Jimmy Dunleavy. He made his debut in Watkins Glen, starting 21st and finishing 37th. Todd came back for a 3rd straight season in the Xfinity Series, full-time behind the wheel of a Cicci-Weliver Racing number 34 Fiddle Faddle Chevrolet. Bodine's best start was 1st in Nazareth. His best finish was 1st 3 times, in Dover in the spring and fall, and Bristol in the fall. Overall, they scored 1 pole, 3 wins, 9 top 5s, and 13 top 10s, ending the season in 9th position in final point standings. Todd also got his first ever full-time Cup Series ride, starting at race 19 in Watkins Glen. He was behind the wheel of the Butch Mock Motorsports number 75 Factory Outlet Stores Ford. They qualified for all but the fall race in Charlotte. His best start was 6th in the fall race in Michigan. His best finish was 23rd in North Wilkesboro in the fall. For 1994, Todd ran 1 Xfinity Series race in Ernie Irvin's Mack Tools number 28 Ford, starting 3rd and finishing 44th in the fall race in Charlotte. Bodine did run his first official full-time season in the Cup Series. He was able to qualify for 30 out of the 31 races, DNQing for the fall race in North Wilkesboro. His best start was 3rd in Talladega in the spring. His best finish was 3rd in the season finale in Atlanta. Overall, Bodine scored 0 poles, 0 wins, 2 top 5s, and 7 top 10s. At season's end, they ended up 20th in final point standings. Next up was the 1995 season, and Butch Mock and Todd had Todd back behind the wheel of the number 75 Ford full-time, again that season. though they did not have the pace as the team did the season prior. Todd DQ'd 3 times. His best start was 7th in the fall in Charlotte, and his best finish was 4th at Darlington in the spring. Overall, they scored 0 poles, 0 wins, 1 top 5, and 3 top 10s, finishing a disappointing 33rd in final point standings. Todd also made 3 Xfinity Series starts, one in the number 81 Group 3 Racing UniFirst Uniforms Ford at Loudon, starting 12th and finishing 37th. He also made 2 starts in the Ron Parker Detroit Gaskets number 72 Chevrolet. His best start was 14th, and he actually won the race in Rockingham. Bodine also made 5 starts in the Roushracing in the newly formed Super Truck Series in their number 61 Roush Performance Products Ford. His best start was 2nd in Mesa Martin, and his best finish was 4th in Topeka. At the conclusion of the 95 season, Todd was let go by Butch Mock Motorsports, leaving him without a ride in the Cup Series for 1996. So, in 96, Todd went back to the Xfinity Series to drive the number 81 Cape Canaveral Cruise Chevrolet for Ron Neal. His best start was 3rd in the season finale in Homestead. His best finish was 1st in South Boston. Overall, they scored 0 poles, 1 win, 3 top 5s, and 9 top 10s. They ended 1996 in 3rd position in final point standings. Bodine was called up to fill in for an injured Bill Elliott in his number 94 McDonald's Ford in the Cup Series for 4 races. His best start was 12th in the Coke 600 in Charlotte. His best finish was 10th in the first race of the season in Pocono. Bodine also made 3 starts for David Blair in the number 27 Ford. His best start for him was 5th in the fall race in Charlotte, and his best finish was 15th in the Southern 500 in Darlington. Now, Todd made the final 3 races of the season behind the wheel of the Andy Petrie Racing number 33 Skull Bandit Chevrolet. His best start was 7th in the season finale in Atlanta, and his best finish was 11th in Phoenix. For the 1997 season, Todd returned to the Cicci-Weliver team behind the wheel of their number 36 Stanley Pontiac full-time. They qualified for every event, all 30 races. His best start was 1st in Hickory, and his best finish was 1st in Fontana. Overall, the team scored 1 pole, 1 win, 9 top 5s, and 22 top 10s. Bodine spent the entire season either 1st or 2nd in points. He ended the season 2nd in final point standings. Todd made 5 Cup Series starts in 1997. The first at Texas, in the first ever race at Texas, starting 18th, and leading with 30 laps to go, but ended up finishing 25th. He drove in relief of Ricky Craven in the number 25 Hendrick Motorsports Budweiser Chevrolet. He drove the Coke 600 in Charlotte in place of his brother Jeff in the QBC number 7 Ford, finishing 42nd. He ran the Watkins Glen race for Cicci-Weliver, winning the pole, but finishing 34th. Todd then ran the Southern 500 in Buzz McCall's number 96 Caterpillar Chevrolet, starting 35th and finishing 42nd. The final race of the season for Todd was his first race in Bob Hansher's number 35 Tabasco Pontiac in Charlotte in the fall, starting 36th and finishing 26th. In the Cup Series for 1998, Todd had secured a strong corporate sponsor in Tabasco. Tabasco gave the team owners $6 million to start the team after a strong marketing campaign with Todd as the driver and the make of the cars as Pontiac. Well, the team wasted his sponsorship money, blowing $1 million on a new jet, putting $2 million into their IRL team, leaving only $3 million to get the team up off the ground. The owners bought a bunch of old, outdated, slow cars from Jack Rouse that Chad Little used to run. Chad Little couldn't get him running fast either. The crew chief, Pat Tryson, was very limited as to what he could spend on parts. To no one's surprise but the representative from Tabasco that showed up to the Coca-Cola 600 in the spring in Charlotte, undercover to find out what the problem was with the team. They were slow. They were very slow. In fact, Todd was only able to qualify for 8 of the 16 races he was behind the wheel. His best start was 2nd, and his best finish was 10th, both in Atlanta in the spring. Todd also made 6 starts in Joe Falk's number 91 Chevrolet. His best start was 8th in Charlotte in the fall, and his best finish was 5th in the season finale in Atlanta. After all the crap happened with Bob Hansher and the whole Tabasco fiasco, Bodine landed on his feet, back behind the wheel of a Cicci-Weliver race car, the number 30 Slim Jim Chevrolet. After Mike Cope had a difficult start to the season, Bodine was back starting in race 19 in Fontana, making the final 13 starts of the season in the Xfinity Series. His best start was third in South Boston, and his best finish was fourth in Bristol in the fall. For the 1999 Xfinity Series season, Todd ran full-time behind the wheel of the Phillips 66 number 66 Chevrolet for Cicci-Weliver Racing. Bodine's best start was third twice in South Boston and Milwaukee. His best finish was second in Indianapolis Raceway Park. Overall, they scored 0 poles, 0 wins, 10 top 5s, and 21 top 10 finishes, on their way to finishing the season fourth in final point standings. In the Cup Series, Todd made 9 attempts in the number 30 Jimmy Dean Pontiac for Jack Birmingham. He only qualified for 7 of those events. Best start was 5th in the season finale in Atlanta. His best finish was 15th in the fall race in Bristol. In 2000, Bodine was back full-time once again behind the wheel of the Cicci-Weliver number 66 Phillips 66 Chevrolet. His best start was first twice, in Talladega in the spring and Richmond in the fall. His best finish was first in Michigan. Overall, Bodine scored 2 poles, 1 win, 14 top 5s, and 19 top 10s, ending the season after climbing as high as the point lead in the 4th position in final point standings. In the Cup Series, Bodine made 3 attempts in the number 91 for Joe Falk, only qualifying for 2 events. His best start was 24th, and his best finish was 7th, both in Atlanta in the spring. Terry Labonte needed a replacement driver at Indianapolis in the number 5 for Hendrick Motorsports. He started 25th, but he finished kind of a respectful 15th. Todd ran Watkins Glen again for Cicci-Weliver in their number 34 I Love New York Chevrolet, starting 43rd and finishing 42nd after burning out a clutch. Then in the season finale in Atlanta, Todd made his first start for a team that he would be driving full-time for in 2001, Travis Carter Racing, in a third car for them, the number 46 Kmart Ford. He started 5th and finished 14th. So that following season, in 2001, Bodine replaced the retiring Darrell Waltrip in the number 66 Kmart Ford. He qualified for 35 out of the 36 races run that Cup Series season, only DQing for the Daytona 500. His year was very up and down, as the team could normally find pace in their cars, proven through their stellar qualifying efforts. Unfortunately, they had 12 DNFs that plagued them throughout the season. His best start was first 3 times, in the debut race in Chicagoland, the second race of the season in Pocono, and the fall race in Martinsville. His best finish was 5th twice, in Las Vegas and Watkins Glen. Overall, they scored 3 poles, 0 wins, 2 top 5s, and 2 top 10s, en route to a 29th place points finish in final points. In the Xfinity Series, Bodine won 2 of the first 3 races of the 2001 season in Buckshot Jones's number 00 Chevrolet. The team would run the first 11 races of the 2001 season, then 1 more at Charlotte in the spring. His best start was 2nd twice in Las Vegas in the spring race in Darlington. When the team stopped running full-time, 11 races into 2001, they were still 9th in Xfinity Series points. Todd made 4 more starts in the Xfinity Series in 2001, behind the wheel of the Armando Fitz number 11 Channel Lock Chevrolet. His best start was 5th in Charlotte in the fall, and his best finish was 5th in Phoenix. For 2002, Bodine started out the Cup Series season behind the wheel of the number 66 Kmart Ford. The team only made it 3 races, though, before losing team sponsors Kmart after they filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy. His best start was first in Las Vegas in an unsponsored number 66 Ford. His best finish was 29th, also in Las Vegas. 10 races later, after the Haas Carter team cut back to just running the number 26. Once they secured Discover Card as a primary sponsor, the number 26 Ford, they brought back Bodine to drive in the Cup Series, starting in Dover in race 13. His best start was 3rd in the fall race in Rockingham, and his best finish was 5th in the fall race in Richmond. Overall, Todd made 21 starts in the number 26 Discover Card Ford. They scored 0 poles, 0 wins, 1 top 5, and 4 top 10s. In the Xfinity Series, Todd got the opportunity to drive the Herzog Jackson Excedrin number 92 Chevrolet. He made 28 out of the 34 starts that season. His best start was 1st in Chicagoland, and his best finish was 1st in Kentucky. Overall, they scored 1 pole, 1 win, 6 top 5s, and 8 top 10s. They finished 23rd in final point standings. Now, in 2003, Belnavis and Travis Carter combined to form Carter-Belnavis Racing. National Guard sponsored number 54 Ford. The team had a tough season, though, DNQing for the fall race in Talladega. They did qualify for 35 out of the 36 races of the season. His best start was 6th in the Daytona 500, and his best finish was 8th, the second race of the season run in Pocono. Overall, they scored 0 poles, 0 wins, 0 top 5s, and 1 top 10. Finishing 2003 and his full-time Cup Series career in 31st in final point standings. In the Xfinity Series, Todd ran the first 18 races for Herzog Jackson in the number 92 Chevrolet. The team was fast and consistent, even leading the points for 9 weeks during their 18 races together. The trouble was the team could not find sponsors. Their best start was 2nd in Kentucky, and their best finish was 1st in the spring race in Darlington. They were sitting in 4th in points when they parted ways. Todd ran the next race in the number 7 Cottonelle Chevrolet for Ed Evans in Chicagoland, starting 10th, but finishing 31st due to engine issues on lap 138. Bodine also ran 3 races for George D. Dybar in the Gould's Pump number 48. His best start for the number 48 team was 9th in the fall race in Rockingham, and his best finish was 18th in the fall race in Atlanta. Even though he didn't run 12 races, Bodine still finished 17th in final points. For 2004, Bodine ran 8 races for William Edwards in the Lucas Oil Products number 98 Ford. Best start 35th in Darlington in the spring. His best finish was 33rd in Richmond in the spring. The team DNQ'd twice in Talladega in the spring and Chicagoland. Todd made 4 attempts for John Carter's number 37 Dodge, DNQ'ing 2 events. His best start was 28th, the first race of the season in Pocono. His best finish was 36th, the first race of the season in Michigan. Next, he made 12 attempts for Don Arnold's number 50 Dodge, only DNQing once in the season finale in Homestead. His best start was 20th in Kansas, and his best finish was 23rd twice in the fall in Bristol and Loudon. He still ended up 41st in final point standings. In the Xfinity Series, Todd ran 1 race for Greg Mixon behind the wheel of the number 24 Quality Plus Services Chevrolet in the spring race in Richmond. He started 27th and finished 24th. Then Todd made 7 attempts behind the wheel of the number 31 Whalen Engineering Ford. They only qualified for 5 out of the 7 events. Best start was 15th at Chicagoland, and his best finish was 5th in the season finale at Homestead. Todd also re-entered the Craftsman Truck Series for the first time since 1995. Todd made his return to the series, running 1 race for number 67 the Fiddleback Racing Ford in Charlotte, starting 16th and finishing 20th. 5 races later, he made 1 start in the Harris Trucking number 59 Ford in Kansas, starting 27th and finishing 15th. Starting at race 17 in Richmond, Bodine hooked up with a team that would find the most success in his career with, Germain Racing. He started driving full-time in Richmond, only DNQing the season finale in Homestead. His best start was 3rd in Richmond, and his best finish was 1st twice, scoring his first career Truck Series victory in Fontana and Texas. Overall, he scored 0 poles, 2 wins, 4 top 5s, and 5 top 10s. They finished 27th in points, even though he only ran 10 races the whole season. Then, the following season in 2005, Todd started the Craftsman Truck Series season behind the wheel of the number 66 Fiddleback Racing Toyota for the first 10 races of the 2005 season. His best start was 2nd in Martinsville in the spring. His best finish was 3rd in the season opener in Daytona. Overall, they scored 0 poles, 0 wins, 2 top 5s, and 4 top 10s. They were 14th in points when they parted ways. The following week, Bodine was back behind the wheel of the number 30 Germain Racing Toyota. Todd ran the remaining 15 races of the season for Germain, technically making this a full-time season for Todd due to not even missing 1 race between rides. His best start was 2nd in Milwaukee, and his best finish was 1st 5 times in the fall race in Texas, in Phoenix, Las Vegas, Kansas, and Homestead. Overall, they scored 0 poles, 5 wins, 12 top 5s, and 15 top 10s. Todd ended up 3rd in final driver's point standings in 2005. He made 1 Cup Series start behind the wheel of the Morgan McClure Lucas Oil Ford, starting 24th and finishing 20th in the season finale in Homestead. Bodine did attempt the spring race in Charlotte in the Xfinity Series, but DNQ'd in the number 43 Channel Lock Chevrolet, owned by Mike Curb. He did make 5 races for Cicci-Weliver's number 34 Dollar General Chevrolet. His best start was 23rd in the fall race in Kansas, and his best finish was in the fall race in Bristol, 21st. Now, the 2006 Craftsman Truck Series season was huge for Toddbodine. He drove full-time behind the wheel of the number 30 Lumber Liquidators Toyota for Germain Racing. They had an incredible season, taking the point lead at race 5 in Gateway and never losing it, winning his first career NASCAR championship ever. His best start was first twice in the spring race in Atlanta and Mansfield. His best finish was first 3 times in the spring races in Atlanta and Texas and Gateway. Overall, they scored 1 pole, 3 wins, 12 top 5s, and 16 top 10s on their way to said championship. Todd made 2 Cup Series starts for Ward McClure's number 4 Lucas Oil Products Chevrolet. They DNQ'd in the fall race in Talladega. His best start was 14th, and his best finish was 19th, both in the fall race in Charlotte. Bodine also made 2 Xfinity Series starts for Frank Cicci in the number 34 Chevrolet. Best start was 38th. His best finish was 36th in the spring race in Dover. The following season in 2007, Bodine obviously returned to the number 30 Lumber Liquidators Toyota for Germain Racing. His best start was first twice in Texas in the spring race in Talladega in the fall. His best finish was also first twice in Texas in the spring and Talladega. The team spent the entire season in the top 5 in points, finishing 4th. Overall, they scored 2 poles, 2 wins, 10 top 5s, and 16 top 10s. And Xfinity ran 1 race for Todd Braun, starting and finishing 6th in Milwaukee. Bodine also made 5 starts for the same team he drives for in the Truck Series, Germain Racing, and their number 03 Germain Toyota dealers, Toyota. His best start was 15th in the season finale in Homestead, and his best finish was 8th in the fall Michigan race. Overall, he scored 3 top 10s in 6 starts. He made no Cup Series starts. In 2008, Todd again was behind the wheel full-time in the number 30 Lumber Liquidators Toyota. They started the season the best way they could, winning the season opener in Daytona. His best start was first in Nashville, and his best finish was first 3 times in Daytona, Talladega, and Homestead. The team led the points 2 different times for 1 week at a time. They ended the year 3rd in final points. Overall, they scored 1 pole, 3 wins, 15 top 5s, and 17 top 10s. Bodine also made 3 Xfinity Series starts, 2 for MSRP Motorsports in their number 90 and 91 Chevrolets, starting 32nd both races, and best finish was 37th in Las Vegas. He made 1 start for Germain Racing in the number 03 Toyota in Darlington, starting 15th and finishing 4th. No Cup Series starts this season either. For the 2009 Truck Series season, Todd was back behind the wheel of the number 30 Copart Toyota for Germain Racing. His best start was first in Las Vegas, and his best finish was first twice in Daytona, winning his 2nd career season opener in the Truck Series and the spring race in Texas. Overall, the team scored 1 pole, 2 wins, 11 top 5s, and 12 top 10s. They ended 2009 in 4th position in final point standings. Now, otherwise, Todd made 1 attempt for Germain Racing in the number 35 Toyota, DNQing for Atlanta. He also made 10 he ran 3 events for Larry Gunzelman. His best start was 16th in spring in Bristol, and his best finish was 37th in Las Vegas. In 2010, Bodine was back behind the wheel of Germain Racing's number 30. His best start was first twice in Nashville and Chicagoland. His best finish was first 4 times, Texas, Nashville, Darlington, and Kentucky. Overall, they scored 2 poles, 4 wins, 17 top 5s, and 20 top 10s. En route to winning the 2nd and final championship. They took the point lead at race 7 and never looked back. Now, Todd also made 12 attempts for Larry Gunzelman in the number 64 Little Joe Auto Sales Toyota. He DNQ'd 5 times, but also qualified 7. His best start was 29th in the spring in the Coca-Cola 600 in Charlotte, and his best finish was 37th twice in Indy in the 2nd race of the season in Pocono. Again, 2010, here he didn't attempt even 1 Xfinity Series race. Now, in 2011, things started to change a lot for Todd in the Truck Series. He ran the full season for Germain Racing, but only ran the first 10 races in the 30. Due to sponsorship, issues. They put Todd in the number 5 Toyota to finish the season. Numbers were down a bit from the previous seasons. His best start was second in Michigan, and his best finish was third 3 times in Darlington, Kansas, and Bristol. Overall, they only scored 5 top 5s and 11 top 10s, finishing 6th in final points. He did run one race in the Xfinity Series for Germain, the number 15 Tire Kingdom Valvoline Toyota, starting 36th and finishing 18th. He ran 3 Cup Series starts, the final 3 of his career. One for Germain in their Big Red number 60 Toyota in Fontana, starting 41st and finishing 40th. He made his final 2 starts for Phil Parsons in the number 66 HP Racing Toyota. His best start was 30th in the second race of the season in Pocono. His best finish was 37th also in the same race in Pocono. After all the success together and time together, Bodine and Germain parted ways for the 2012 season. Todd found a full-time ride in the number 11 Toyota Toyota for Red Horse Racing. His best start was 3rd in Bristol, and his best finish was 1st in Dover. This would end up being his final career win. Also, this would end up being his final full-time season. Overall, they scored 1 win, 5 top 5s, 7 top 10s, ending the season 14th in points. In 2013, he drove the first 7 races of the season for ThorSport in the number 13 Steelmasters Toyota. His best start was 10th in Kansas, and his best finish was 11th twice in Daytona and Martinsville. Then he drove Steve Turner's number 30 truck in Pocono, starting 7th, finishing 11th. Todd would never run even close to another full-time schedule. He ended up running basically like 6 more Xfinity Series races and not really ever finishing better than 28th. And all of them were for SS Greenlight Racing. And then he made his final 8 starts of his career in the number 62 for Stuart Friesen in the Kmart Truck Series in 2022. He ended up with best start at 18th and best finish of 10th, both in the spring race in Darlington. And that was his career. Now, when Todd's career slowed down a little bit, he joined Fox NASCAR, where he serves as an analyst and sometimes fills in covering Truck Series races when Michael Waltrip isn't available. In the Cup Series, Todd made 241 career starts, scoring 5 poles, 7 top 5s, and 21 top 10s. In his Xfinity Series career, he was able to score 7 poles, 15 wins, 90 top 5s, and 160 top 10s in 333 starts. As for the Truck Series, Bodine scored 2 championships, 7 poles, and 22 wins, 92 top 5s, and 125 top 10 finishes in 226 career starts. This has been NASCAR Underdogs Toddbodine. Thanks for watching, and take care.